Hello, my friend. Welcome back to the channel. And if you are new around here, well, my name is Mac and I'm a leadership coach, but I work specifically with first-time team managers and helping them to become effective leaders. So today is another NMA Student Spotlight Day, which I'm super excited to be able to bring you. But today's conversation is going to be a little bit different because this student that I am interviewing by the name of Tiara, Tiara actually decided to jump into the program ahead of getting a promotion. So she knew a promotion was on the horizon and actually a year out pretty much. And she knew that was coming. And so she decided to get the training ahead of time instead of reacting to getting the role. And so I thought this would be an interesting conversation for you to hear because normally I have people on the channel who are managers, right? Who became managers, they jumped into the program and learned how to be a manager with some mess. But today I wanted to interview someone that took a little bit more of a proactive approach. So I hope that you find this conversation insightful. I most definitely did, to kind of just hear like her thought process around some of the decisions that she's made and some of the things that she's learned. And so definitely tune into this one. In fact, pause this, go get a drink of choice, come back and tune in. All right, see you in a bit.
All right. So Tiara, I am so excited to have this conversation with you today. Thank you so much for being part of this conversation and part of the channel. I really appreciate you. Like so
yeah. Thanks for having me, Mac.
Yes. But yeah, I'm really excited to have this deep dive conversation with you because your situation, Tiara, is a little bit different. And it's different because of the fact that you actually decided to get this training proactively. So instead of kind of becoming a manager and then getting the training, you decided to flip it on its head. Like you were preparing for a leadership role and said,
yes,
I need training. So I'd love to hear like what made you make that proactive decision? Because not a lot of people do. So talk to me about like what went through your head and why you came to this choice.
Yeah. It was an opportunity that was presented to me actually through our organization based on how quickly I was growing within the organization. And also my heart to grow within the organization and just learn and become keep growing as a leader. And so they presented this option for me. And of course, like I've never had experience in a management role before. I know naturally I have like leadership skills. I am quite often trying to push my way back in the background, all the way back. Okay, if I could blend in with the wall here, I would do it. But naturally, a lot of opportunities come where I'm pushed in the forefront. And so, yeah, I never had experience in management before. And so naturally, like I love to learn and I'm a very curious person. Um, yeah, I wanted to learn what goes into it. Like, so the fact that I was even being considered for a management position and they wanted to give me opportunity to train more, I was like, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yep. I had no idea what went into it.
Yeah.
All the way. But one of my coworkers was already doing the management, had already began. So I was kind of like picking her brain, like, okay. And she kept saying, Mac is cool, you're gonna love it, you know. So I had that to look for, but I didn't know exactly what it entailed. But yeah, I was like, let's go, let's get
it. I love that so much. So how is making that choice to say yes, even though you didn't know exactly what it would entail, how has that equipped you for your upcoming role?
I think it's helped shift like my thinking. Like, I think naturally you're very like self-motivated.
Mm.
And so you're conscious of your own achievements and what that impact looks like, you know. So I could be motivated by salary. I want this promotion for salary, because that salary will impact my family, for instance. But outside of receiving the role and the title and, you know, the money, that the benefits that may come with the role, there's so much more that goes into it. So I think shifting your thoughts into, like, outside of what your daily tasks look like, also considering, and really, for me, after taking your training, has taught me, like, it's really about people.
Yeah.
It's about our interactions with the people we have the opportunity to interact with on whatever level. And I think, yeah, that's the shift for me.
Mm. Yeah. It's possible to do both, right? It's possible
Absolutely,
to care about the people and also care about the results and the outcome.
for sure. But you can't have one without the other.
Other. Yes. Yes. That's exactly it. Oh, I love that you said that. That actually gave me some chills. Because I'm really glad that you came to that realization in the training. That's really
For
important.
sure. Yeah.
That's so good. So part of the program is obviously making practical application of the training. I mean, actually, that's a huge component, is making application of what you're learning. It's not good enough for it to be in here. We need to apply it. And so part of the way that we in the program do that, help y'all to make practical application, is through our role
Mhm.
plays.
Aha.
And which you're already laughing about. Okay, so the funny thing is, y'all, is that poor Tiara here in our cohort, one of the cohorts, is always volunteered.
You see what I'm saying?
People
It's like, I just want to
volunteer
watch.
her to have these kind of tougher conversations. And so but you know, people volunteer you, but you also say yes. You also be
Yeah.
the person like, yeah, I'll do it. And so I guess my question for you is, how has putting yourself out there and volunteering by saying, yeah, I'll do it, I'll be part of this role play, how has that
Mhm.
increased your capacity to have challenging conversations?
I would say practice makes perfect.
Ah,
So, like, you know, you'll go into a conversation, having a conversation with a team member about performance or any type of conversation along those lines is already tough. And so the role play, if you're not an actress or an actor, performer, okay, you're going to experience the same discomfort.
yeah,
It's true. So,
same discomfort. Yeah.
but the difference is you get to practice that conversation through your discomfort. And then the more you practice or get volunteered or volunteer yourself to do the role play, like, it makes walking into the conversation with your real life team members way easier because you practice a framework. And Mac, you have a great framework.
Thank
um,
you.
and the benefit of being able to talk through that with other professionals who also have to have difficult conversations or who have had difficult conversations and can bring their ideas to the table. So, yeah, I think it just makes it a lot easier when you actually have real life conversations you have to have with people.
Yeah, because it's bound to happen, right?
And yeah, I mean, you can't avoid it. But
But
as I said, you can't have one without the other. You gotta have people take care of people too.
yeah. And sometimes that means calling them to account, holding them accountable to the things that they say, but it has to be done in a way that is dignified. Always.
Absolutely,
Yeah, absolutely.
because we want everybody to be seen.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be seen.
That's right. Absolutely. But you've done such a phenomenal job, Tiara, of, just masterfully balancing the two. I mean, some of it is your tone, your disposition. You have this way about, I've told you this before, you have this way about you where it's very obvious that you are intently listening to the other person, which then automatically makes the person feel as though they are cared for. So you have this really nice way of doing that, and then clearly articulating the outcome and the results that you're looking for. And so I know that it probably sucked quite a bit to always be volunteered for these role plays. But I thought it was good for you because I could see the difference from when you first started doing these role plays.
Yeah.
Could you see it? The difference in
Yeah.
yourself? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You've really expanded. So much so that others are like, oh, I like how Tiara says that. They're like pulling, some of the things that you're saying and putting it into their arsenal as scripts. But what I thought is also interesting is that you've applied the knowledge. So, because one of the things that we do is after the role play, we're giving each other feedback on what could have been tweaked, what our keeps were or whatnot. And she applies it every time. And that's why you've improved and expanded, is because you've taken the learnings, you've taken those tweaks and you said, okay, this is what I'm going to do next time. Or when you're giving feedback, you're like, well, Mac says.
Right. My little Mac voice pops up in my head. What would Mac do?
I love when you're giving people tweaks now, because I'm like, wait, she's just repeating. Go ahead.
Exactly. Period.
It's great. It's phenomenal. Seriously. Okay, so sometimes I'd love to ask you this question, because sometimes I get on calls with managers who are thinking about jumping into the program, right? And they say, they'll say things like, well, Mac, I'm already gaining so much from your YouTube channel. Like, I can't possibly learn anything different from the accelerator program. I, of course, know that they're going to get so much more, but I would love to hear from your perspective of a student having been in the program, what you think the difference is between the program and just free information that you get off of the internet.
Well, obviously, they get access to you. And Mac drops gems, okay? Diamonds, okay? All of them. No, that's true. She does drop gems. But I think it does also to be able to have that time with other professionals who are at different stages of, who are people who are stepping into a manager role, who are people who have been a manager for 20 plus years, who, some are work from nonprofits, some work in, some different industry, and they're all over the world. So that's also cool. I mean, if you are a fan of accents.
We've got a lot of accents in the group.
Yes, I love it. It keeps me engaged in everything. But no, they all bring their experiences to the table. And for someone like me who has never had the experience, I may not have necessarily as much insight to add. But guess what? I have someone else on the call who does. And I get to hear their real life scenarios because you get an opportunity to, ask questions. So our last meeting together, I think maybe last week, we had a gentleman who was going to be having a clarity conversation with one of his teammates. And he was like, what's a good framework? Because you want to be clear. And like I said, we all have to have those types of conversations. So being able to, hear the situation that he was experiencing with his teammate, and being able to map out using your framework and, answer specific questions so that when he hopefully we'll hear his feedback on Wednesday.
On Wednesday.
But I'm waiting. I've been waiting.
Me too. I want to know what happened.
But yeah, like you get to submit questions and like share, like everyone's going to share their real life experiences as a manager and the challenges that they face. Um, and so I think that's the piece. Like anybody can get information. You could read any kind of book, but it's nice when you have access to the actual, creator of the program. Okay, the person who's used these tools and created these tangible tools to make us better managers, not just surface people, operating the day-to-day workings of a job, you know, but really like not just investing in outcomes, but like you were saying, investing in people that you work with
Yeah.
and watching them grow to new heights and do amazing things. So yeah.
Beautiful, right? When you see that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I think just going back to what you were saying about the gentleman, one of our MA students last week who was like working through it. I think the reason we were able to do that is because we had a tool, right, that we were using.
Right.
You
Mm-hmm.
automatically were like, okay, this is where this person is on the course correction journey map. They're going to need this type of conversation. And
Right.
so let's, we'll use this tool and then we'll map everything out. I think sometimes what's missing from books is what is the journey and what is the tool? Like, what's the tangible thing that I use to help me surface XYZ so that I communicate it properly, right? Like, what's the tangible?
Mm-hmm.
Because there is a difference between, I say this all the time, there's a difference between knowledge and knowing.
Right.
Right. And it's
Mm-hmm.
bridging that gap can be really difficult if you're just trying to like Google a tip here, read a book here, because you don't have like the piece in the middle to make application of it.
Right. That piece.
That piece right there.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why people can read books and still turn out to be terrible managers.
Right. And me, personally, leadership books probably weren't my go-to. I stepped into a Barnes and Nobles,
Right.
But now, like our team is reading through one of those books, and so yeah, it's like it's all great information, but it's the application piece, being able to practice that.
Yeah. That's what makes the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So what would you say then, Tiara, to somebody who's like sitting on the fence about being part of the accelerator program?
I would say I was automatically what I thought of was like push past fear. Obviously, you may think you're on the fence for a reason, and if you want to grow in any area or learn something new, you kind of got to push past the initial fear. Like it made me think of like when I tried out for the basketball team in high school for the first time. It's like, I don't want people to see me run. I don't, you're like I'm telling you, that's how corny people, I was in high school and self-conscious. Like, I don't want to see people see me run, and I don't want, no one looking at me, and I don't want to miss it. Like, you just have all these insecurities or just negative thinking, but there's obviously a reason for you being there.
Yeah.
Like, or being on the fence is what I mean by being there in this space. And you won't be like, you won't miss anything by doing it. You're only going to gain from it. Right. You are only going to gain. And it's like if you want to see your work environment thrive, and I don't think anybody goes into a manager.
Oh, we're losing you, Tiara.
Oh, I'm gonna not do a good job. Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Sorry, it's our work. It's the work Wi-Fi. I moved it one way. I moved my phone one way to the left, and I was gone.
And that was it.
What was the last thing you heard?
Oh, when you were saying, I think you were saying, obviously you're there for a reason. You only have something to gain from it. And then you started
Right.
talking about creating that environment that you want.
Oh yeah, like, if you see like if you wanna do well as a manager, you have nothing to lose by committing to it. And it's not hard, and you go your own pace. You're not being rushed. You're not being sent like a million reminders to, oh, get your modules done. Get your modules done. It's nothing like that. Um, but yeah, and like I said, you're only going to grow from it, and you're going to be able to, once you
Once you,
apply what you learned,
yeah.
you're going to see the people around you shift as well.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Last question for you. What
Mhm.
advice do you have for anyone that is getting prepared for a leadership role? Like, what one piece of advice that you could pass on to them that perhaps you would have liked to have had as you were kind of like jumping into like really thinking about being in this leadership role yourself?
Um, I honestly, I think I had kind of like a cheat because I had the accelerator program, and
Yeah.
like the first module um kind of makes you ask yourself questions. So I feel like before you step into a management role, you need to be like have do some reflecting, have
Mm,
some self-awareness time with yourself. I think that's the biggest thing. Know and learn yourself as best you can. So yeah, I just feel like mainly just asking pivotal questions, which I feel like module one really gets down to the core of it.
yeah.
You want to really know what you're preparing for, you know?
Yeah.
Because like I said, it's not a simple role. It's really not.
Mm,
Like you're actually stepping into more responsibility, and that outside of just um the task work or the operational work, but like you're really stepping into a huge role of responsibility to be responsible for someone else
mm,
and the quality of work that they do, and being responsible for that. That's a lot. So you just want to make sure you are self-aware of who you are and what you're stepping into, and kind of then you can move into the planning stage. But yeah, this accelerator program will help you prepare and do all of that self-awareness work for sure.
Nice. Thank you,
Hmm.
Tara. Thank you so much for sharing your insight and wisdom. Y'all are getting a taste of what we get every Wednesday in our cohort because she comes with these gems every week too. It's awesome. We absolutely love her. It's so great. So I have one last question for you before we jump off. I know that was supposed to be the last question, but I don't know. I was just thinking about this. And in what one area do you think the accelerator program has helped you?
I think for me, like, I guess the planning stage, like, what type of culture do you want to build?
Mm,
And like I said, that self-awareness piece of like knowing what culture you're from, what values you have, and then pulling some of those things into the team. And maybe like even um it also helped me in like in assumptions with assumptions, because I would say that I think we can agree that we have all had a bad supervisor,
yeah.
and like in those situations, how assumptions play a role, and like, oh, well, this person's not doing what I told them to do or how I wanted them to do it. So they must not want to work here. And it's like, people are so much more complex than that.
Then just that.
There are, yeah. And I'm like, there are days I show up, I could have, and it have nothing to do with work. I could just be upset at my husband because he talked crazy to me one morning, and I have to go show up to work, you know? And I have it really bad because my facial expressions say it all. Okay. So if you're one of those people, even, we're human. So
Yeah.
we just can't always assume things of people. And I feel like that's one thing that one of the many things that I've taken away from your program. And it's like, you really do need to know your team.
Yeah, man.
You got
Yeah.
to know your team. You got to know what motivates them, you know? So,
Something that you said, this is why I love talking to Tiara, y'all, because she said something and then my mind just expands. But around that, like, assumptions aspect, what I've noticed is we make assumptions when we don't have tools
right.
because it becomes just our own narrative. But when,
Right.
But when we have tools and we realize, wait, it's not just option A, there's option B, C, D, E, F, G, A. Then your mind is able to expand and go, oh, now my job is to figure out what it is and not rely on my assumption. And then you can then take the path that's necessary based on what the issue actually is, or based on what, as opposed to just relying on our own narrative. And I do think it's a matter of when you just don't know, you land on your own narrative every single time, your own story, every single time.
Every single time.
Yeah.
Every time. You're going to believe what you feel.
What you feel.
You're going to believe what you feel
and
versus what's actual, but then you drift away from what's fact.
Exactly.
So, and that's why your framework for these conversations we gotta have with people is just really great.
Thank you.
I mean, it is. I haven't been steered wrong in having, the ones that I have had, because I've had the framework and like I said, that piece of it, like not making assumptions, trying to really like stay out of myself and stay in a place of curiosity.
That's it right there.
Yeah.
That's it right there. Thank you, Tiara. This was a great conversation. And congratulations to you as well for graduating. I know. Tiara is officially a graduate. Well, soon enough, 2 weeks.
I'm moving it over to the side.
But congratulations. And thank you so much for being willing to have this conversation with me today and for sharing a different aspect. Because usually when I have people on the channel, they're always talking about they already have teams, right? They took a little bit more of a reactive approach to getting training, right? They got the management role, then they got the training. And so it's nice to hear it from the opposite perspective of someone who's preparing for a role and getting the advanced training so that when you step in, you feel more confident. That's awesome. So thank you. You're awesome.
Thank you. You're awesome. Thank you, Matt.
So didn't I tell you that conversation was going to be amazing? Because it was. I mean, just listen, I got to say, like, everybody that comes into this program is top notch. Like, they are top notch people that truly care about impacting people's lives for the better. And I just absolutely love them. And that's a reflection of what you're hearing, like in these conversations. They are just some amazing people. And so thank you so much for like tuning into that conversation. And to Tiara, I'm so proud of you, girl. So proud of you. Anyways, to the rest of you, if you are, anticipating that you are going to be in a management role and you want to take a proactive approach so that by the time you jump into the role, you know exactly what to do and you can hit the ground running, then definitely book a call with me using the link in the description box below. But also, if you are a manager now and you just want to level set, reset, and do things, with effectiveness, then definitely book a call with me using the link in the description box below, where you can learn more about what the program is about, and then on our call we can figure out if this would be a good fit for you. All right, thank you so much for joining me this week. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your week, and I'll see you in the next one.